If you love archaeology, then you'll absolutely love walking through the Jewish quarter in the old city of Jerusalem. Shalom, my friends. This is the Kiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. One of the greatest things to do when you come to visit Israel is to walk through the Jewish quarter in the old city of Jerusalem. Besides all the great bakeries and eateries and just the modern day life that Jews have recreated there and the spirit of Judaism flowing through the streets there, there's so much incredible history and archaeology to see. I want to share with you a few of the different points that you can see on your walk through the Jewish quarter of the old city of Jerusalem. One of the oldest things you can see there is something called the Broad Wall. It is a wall that they found, the foundation for a wall that they found, 7 meters thick, that goes back to the late 8th century BCE. That's exactly the time that King Hezekiah ruled in Judea. And guess what? The Hebrew Bible tells us that he built a wall around a section outside of Jerusalem to protect refugees that had come to live outside of Jerusalem on the hills from the north after it was attacked and exiled by the Assyrians. Well, the Assyrians were trying to attack the south as well, Judea and Jerusalem eventually. And so Hezekiah built this wall to protect those people who were living on the hills, technically outside the city. And he brought them in the city for that protection. And all these years later, this wall has been found, the foundation for it. I've seen it many times myself. It's super impressive. And you can see that in the Jewish quarter in the Old City in Jerusalem. As you walk further, you can see what's called a Cardo, which was part of a Roman street, a very long street that the Romans, during their rule of the city, they built in the city of Jerusalem. You can see a small section of it today, but archaeologists, historians know that it went for a very, very long way. There's evidence of it elsewhere, but the main part that's exposed that you can see very clearly is a short part of that. And basically, you can see the original floor, the original street going back 2,000 years. You can see where they actually had stores along the way. This was an ancient Roman shuk market. And you can see these pillars standing up as well that would have kept up the roof of the market, kind of providing shade for people who are walking through and doing their shopping. Now, it's amazing. I love pointing this out to people when I go there. On top of these pillars, you can see a few stones, right? So the question is, how'd they get there? Not so easy. Try to throw a stone on top of a tall pillar, it's not so easy that it'll stay there. Well, some kids were successful in doing so. And why do I mention that? Because there is a prophecy recorded in the book of Zechariah that says one day the Jewish people will return to the city and elders will sit and speak on the street and children will play in the streets. And it's an amazing thing. You can go to the old city today in the Jewish quarter, you can see little Jewish children walking to school, from school, and playing with one another. And one of the things they like to do is to see if they can throw a small stone or pebble on top of the pillar and have it stay there. And so that's a sign of this ancient prophecy coming true. The last thing I want to share with you from the old city, the Jewish quarter, in terms of archaeology, is a great place where you can go. It's a museum, actually. And you can go down some stairs. And when you get down these stairs, you're met with this sign that says you just went, X amount of meters below the surface of the street, and you just went back in time 2,000 years. And this museum underneath the ground shows you real, authentic archaeological evidence of Jewish life in the city going back 2,000 years, again, during the Roman rule. You see the foundation, you see the basements, the lower levels of these homes. There was a whole cluster of homes. There was a community that was in that part of the city known as the Upper City, which had a beautiful view of the Temple Mount and the temple that was there. And you can see how people lived. You can see the rooms, you can see the storage rooms, you can see the baths, you can see a mikveh there, which is a Jewish purification bath that people would use for all kinds of reasons, especially if they wanted to go into the Temple Mount, especially if they worked in the temple as a priest. They had to be purified every single time they went in there. And then as you go on, you find all kinds of other things that the archaeologists who dug there after 1967, after the Six-Day War, when Israel took over control of the entire old city, of course, including the Jewish quarter, giving them access for the first time ever to do archaeological digging. It's an incredible thing. They found all kinds of pottery and all kinds of stoneware. And one of the most amazing things that they found there was actually a drawing of a menorah on one of the walls of the houses. Now, why do I mention this? One, it's always nice to find a picture of a menorah drawn. That's the symbol of the Jewish people throughout the ages. But also, I mentioned it because there was actually a disagreement in Jewish law. How did the menorah actually look? Was it, straight kind of, arms coming off a central uh, um, pillar in the middle, or was it more rounded and curved? And according to this picture, which most likely was drawn by a priest who lived there and actually went into the temple to see the menorah, because most people couldn't see the menorah, only the priest could. It was rounded. And that was a pretty powerful archaeological find. So these are three places in the Jewish Quarter in the Old City that you can go to, and you can see all within a few minutes walk of each other, and you can discover the ancient past of the Jewish people in their eternal Jewish capital, that being Jerusalem.